Come gather close, come feel the flame. Lesley George, remember the name. Island soul with a fearless spark. Truth speaks here and it leaves its mark. No dimming down, no playing small. Stepping strong and stand up tall. You walking bold, you move with grace. Mosaic Sparks, come take your place. This is where brilliance learns to speak.
Welcome back, sparklers, to Mosaic Sparks with me, Lesley George, where bold conversations meet voice, confidence, creativity, business, books, and leadership. But before we get into today's conversation, I want to thank our faithful followers tuning in from Japan, Germany, and Port St. Lucie, Florida. I also want to welcome our newest listeners from Kent, Washington, Wilmington, Delaware, and Queens, New York. Man, the sparks are traveling, and I love to see it. And I hope you continue to share and follow to make sure whenever an episode drops, you are the first to know. So whether this episode is playing while you're driving, walking, working, cleaning, maybe you might be drinking some coffee, or you're standing in the kitchen pretending to clean while really thinking about your next big move. Welcome. You're in the right place. Today's episode is sponsored by Mosaic Inc., where women, authors, entrepreneurs, and leaders are supporting in turning their message into movement, their voice into visibility, and their ideas into something people can actually connect with. And today's conversation, I must say, is a good one. We are talking about what everybody else is talking about, AI. We're going to talk about AI, authorship, entrepreneurship, and the value of the human voice. And yes, it's going to come from a Disney movie because The Little Mermaid gave us one of the clearest lessons for this moment that we're living in right now. Ariel gave up her voice to get access to the world she wanted. So for those of you that are not familiar with The Little Mermaid and you want to go and check it out, and for those of you that are familiar, you don't necessarily have to know the movie to follow along. But Ariel, like I said, gave up access. Ariel gave up her voice to get access to the world she wanted. Now, if you really think about it, this is not just a Disney plot. It's the whole business lesson, a writing plan, a lesson plan. That is a let me pull over and think about my life kind of lesson. Basically, Ariel wanted access. She wanted to be seen. She wanted a different experience. She wanted to step into another world. And she wanted what felt out of reach. How many of you can raise your hand and say that? I know I can. Many of us understand that feeling. Because authors are looking for access to publishing. Entrepreneurs are looking for access to clients. Coaches are looking for visibility. Speakers, they want to get on stages. Creators are looking for attention. And business owners are looking to grow. But guess what? Then AI enters the room, looking like the fastest boat on the other side. But suddenly the caption can be written, oh my goodness, so much faster. The book outline can take shape immediately. The email can get drafted. The bio can sound cleaner. The content ideas start flowing. The offer can get mapped out. And the scattered thoughts finally have a place to land. Of course, that is useful. Let's not act like it is not. Some of us have been staring at a blank page for years. You know my story. I said I was writing a book for 20 years, like a broken record. This was before AI, but for those that have been staring at a blank pages for years, AI can come in and AI can say, would you like an outline? And suddenly people started feeling delivered. So definitely, I get it. Use the tool, use the support. The technology is there. Use what helped create the movement. That's not the issue. The issue is not the help of AI. The deeper issue is whether the tool is shaping the voice or slowly replacing it because the real message still feels too tender, too bold, or too unpolished to trust. That is the real conversation. Ariel did not only receive help, she gave up her voice, and that is where caution is needed. So, in a season where AI can create so much quicker, the greater danger may not be the existence of the tool. It may be the danger is in the sameness, where entrepreneurs may begin sounding alike. Authors may publish books with clean sentences, but there's no heartbeat, there's no soul. Coaches may build offers with strong wording, but they have no lived conviction. Speakers may create polished messages that sound impressive but carry no weight. And let's not forget this, has no transformation. That is when content becomes a costume. It looks put together, but nobody knows who's really inside it. There is a difference between content and connection. Content can fill up a page, connection makes someone pause. Content can sound nice. Connection makes someone say, she or he is talking to me. Content can be generated, but connection has to be felt. That is why the human voice still and will always matter. Now, let's be clear. This episode is not about anti AI. Nobody is standing outside with signs, yelling at the robots, acting like the internet is going back into the box. No, ma'am. No, sir. Technology is here to stay. AI is already part of how people are writing, creating, teaching, marketing, and building businesses. So the real question becomes, how can AI be used without losing the person behind the message? That is where authors, entrepreneurs, and creators have to be very clear. AI can support the structure. It cannot replace the story. AI can provide all the words, but it can't provide wisdom. It can suggest a message. It can't carry a meaning. It can describe pain, but it never had to sit in a car and collect itself before walking into a room and putting on that smile. AI can write with confidence, but it has never had to decide to stop apologizing for taking up space. AI can write about entrepreneurship, but it has never had to build something when nobody is clapping, nobody understands, and half the people with opinions have never built anything past a grocery list. So AI can write about authorship. It has never carried a book idea in its spirits for 10 years. For me, it was 20. While life, fear, family, responsibility, and self doubt kept interrupting the draft. That is the human part. That is the value. That is what makes a message different. Your voice carries memory. Your voice carries culture, experience, conviction, and your voice carries the reason the work matters. And in business, people need to feel that. People are not only buying a product, they're buying trust, perspective. They're buying they're buying a way of seeing the problem. They're buying confidence in that solution. So that is true for authors, entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, publishers. That is true for anyone trying to build a brand with meaning. Because when everyone has access to the same tool, the difference becomes the human behind the tool. Let me say that again. When everyone has access to the same tool, the difference becomes the human behind the tool. That means your voice is not a cute little extra. Your voice is part of the value, the brand, the leadership, the offer, and your voice is part of why people trust the message. This is where some people get caught up. They think polish always means powerful. Not always. Polish can be good, professional can be good, clear can be good. But when polish removes personality, guess what? Connection gets lost. Some business owners are editing themselves until there's nothing left but a caption that sounds like it went to 3 networking events and came back with no friends. It is clean. It is, oh my goodness, technically correct. And for my grammar people out there, it's grammatically correct. It says all the right words, it has all the punctuations, and nobody feels anything. That's not the goal. An audience does not need a cardboard cutout version of the person behind the brand. They need the real voice. They need the wisdom, the warmth, that little edge that you have, your story, your humor, your rhythm. The voice that says, I know what I'm talking about because I've lived, learned, served, and failed. Started again and kept going. That is what people connect with. A book without a voice becomes just plain information. We all have access to information. A business without a voice becomes a transaction. Nobody wants a transaction. A brand without a voice becomes plain decoration. And a message without a voice is just noise. And we have enough noise. We need more truth, more clarity. We need more women who are not afraid to sound like themselves. Now, let's get back to Ariel. Ariel wanted a new world. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with wanting to grow and wanting visibility and even wanting to publish a book. There's nothing wrong with wanting a business to be seen. So the lesson is not about wanting access. The lesson is to watch what gets traded for it. Do not trade voice for speed. Say that again. Do not trade voice for speed. Trade your story for polish. Trade conviction for approval. And trade personality for what sounds professional. Good enough is not always good. Sometimes good enough is just forgettable wearing a different outfit. And we're not here to build forgettable things. We're not here to write forgettable books or create forgettable businesses or even post forgettable content. We're not here to lead forgettable conversations. Writing, building, speaking, coaching, publishing, teaching, creating, and showing up all require voice in the room. The real one, not the watered down one. Not the let me show you like everybody else one. Not the I do not want too much one. The voice, the voice that carries ownership, that carries lived experiences, that carries standards and personality. The voice that make people say, I know that is her. That is brand power. That is author power, entrepreneurial power, leadership power. Now, let's talk about using AI without giving away the voice because the message is not never use AI. Let me say that again. The message is not to never use AI. Use AI. Use it wisely. Use it like support, not surrender. Let it organize ideas, help you brainstorm, relieve some of your gaps. Let it turn one big idea into smaller pieces of content. Let it clean up anything that you have messy. But then add the human layer, add the story only live experiences can tell. Add the phrase that sounds natural, the example from real life, the moment that shaped the belief. My goodness, add that cultural memory, that leadership perspective. That is where the magic is. AI can hand over a draft. The human voice gives it life. AI can hand over structure. The human voice gives it soul. AI can hand over options. The human mind makes the decision. AI can move things faster. The human voice makes sure the movement still has meaning. That is the work. And for the entrepreneurs listening, this matters in marketing. People are tired of copy and paste business languages. They're tired of captions that sound like everybody downloaded the same template from the same tired corner of the internet. They're tired of posts that sound like a lot but never reveal anything. They're tired of brands that look good but feel so distant. They want to know who is behind the business. They want to know what the person believes. They want to know why your work matters. They want to know what makes your method different. That does not require sharing everything. A whole life does not need to be on display. The message simply needs enough truth for people to recognize the person behind it. Boundaries and voice can live together. Professionalism and personality can sit at the same table. Strategy and humanity can work side by side. AI can be used while the message still sounds original, grounded, and human. That's the balance. For authors listening, this matters in your book. A book should not sound like it could have been written by anybody. Readers are not looking for information. Information is everywhere. It's all around us. Readers are looking for interpretation. Readers are looking for meaning. They're looking for language, for something they have felt but could not explain. They just didn't have that language. But when they pick up and read your words, they've gotten an aha. Readers are looking for story that helps them see their own. That is why the human voice matters in writing. The sentence does not need to be perfect. It needs to be true. The chapter does not need to sound like a textbook. It needs to sound like someone who knows why the words are on the page. It needs to reach the right somebody. And this is where authorship becomes leadership. And for speakers, coaches, and leaders, this matters in the room that you enter. AI can help you prepare. It can give you the bullet points, the framework, the idea, but it can't read the room when you enter. It can't carry presence. It can't replace the timing of a pause. It can't replace the moment a voice cracks because the truth got close. It can't replace the authenticity that comes from being fully present with people. That's why voice matters in rooms where people need to be moved, challenged, encouraged, corrected, and reminded of who they are. That is not generated, that is embodied. So here's the question for today. If AI can organize the work, what makes a message still worth listening to? The answer is the human behind it: perspective, lived experience, emotional truth. Oh my goodness, humor, discipline, conviction. A way of connecting the dots, a reason for showing up, the willingness to say what needs to be said, the ability to tell the truth in a way that helps someone get free, clear, get moving, or get honest. That is the value. That is the difference. That is the part technology can assist but cannot replace. So here's your brag moment for today. Voice is not decoration, voice is differentiation. Voice is one of the clearest ways people understand why this message, this book, this business, this brand, or this leader is not like everyone else. Voice carries the reason the work started. It carries the lessons earned. It carries the conviction behind the offer, the emotional truth behind the book, the leadership behind the brand. So use the tool, use the outline, the draft, the prompt, brainstorm, edit in. But do not let the tool become the face of the message because in this season, sameness will be easy. Voice will be valuable. And the people who know how to use technology while keeping the human truth intact will definitely stand out. This is how you unbox your brilliance. So now, before we close, take this with you. Where has your voice been given away? Was it to fear, perfection, comparison, to the belief that sounding like someone else creates more credibility, to the pressure of looking, oh my goodness, so polished, to the ease of something safe, to the fear that the real message may be too bold? I want you to think about that. Then ask yourself, what part of the story could only come from lived experience? What belief needs to be said with more clarity? And what truth has been edited out? Those questions will bring your voice back into the room. And that is what you need. Not more noise, but your voice. Not more content, but more conviction. And not more polished emptiness, more human truth. So let the Little Mermaid remind us of something so powerful. Do not give up your voice to access a bigger room. Bring the voice into the room and let that be part of why people remember the message. Remember, AI can help write, market, organize, create the movement. AI can help shape the message, but AI cannot replace the woman who lived the lesson, the entrepreneur who built that incredible business, the author who carried that story for years, the coach who has sat with real clients. It cannot replace the speaker who knows how to move and control a room. It cannot replace the leader who has been through enough to speak with weight and conviction. The human voice still matters. Your voice matters in books, in business, in branding, in content, in leadership, and in your offers, in the way people experience the person behind the message. Yes, use AI safely. Let it support the structure. Let it shape the message. Let it create your momentum, but never trade your voice for speed, polish, or access, because your voice may be the very thing that creates trust. And especially now, in an AI world that we have, you need to develop that trust. Your voice may be the thing that opens the door. Your voice may be the thing that makes the right person say, that is who I've been looking for. And sparklers, that is definitely the point. So, once again, as we come to the end, thank you for joining me on this episode of Mosaic Sparks with me, Lesley George. Once again, this episode has been sponsored by Mosaic Inc., where voice, story, leadership, and brilliance are built with intention. If this episode spoke to you, do me a favor, like, share, follow Mosaic Sparks with Lesley George on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share this message with an author, entrepreneur, coach, speaker, content creator, business owner who needs the reminder that AI can support the message, but it cannot replace the human voice behind it. So until next time, keep writing, keep speaking, keep building, and keep showing up. Why? Because your voice matters. See you next Tuesday. Bye for now.
Mhm.